If you are chronically stressed all the time, then yes, you're doing something good for you, but that good can quickly become a negative thing that is just compounding on our pile of stress.
Are you going down to your home gym and moving your body for 30 minutes to start your day with a good attitude? Yep. Or do you have to drive an hour to get to your gym? You're lifting heavy for 90 minutes and you're driving an hour home.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Strong, well-fed, outspoken bitch. We are doing a fun Q&A episode. If you guys are new here, welcome to the pod. My name is Rusty, or Coach Frizzle, or the Miss Frizzle of Fitness.
And if you guys are watching on like a watching platform, it's still me, Coach Nel. I just have straight hair today.
Yeah. Everybody's like, "Who? What the hell? Who that?"
Did you get a new host?
Yeah. That's awesome. As soon as Nel came on the pod, but
the
like
screen,
before we record, I was like, damn. But no, she looks beautiful. If you guys are not watching, it's worth watching this episode.
For nothing else to see this.
Yeah.
Fun fact about me, I didn't wear my hair curly until I was 30.
Wow, you used to straighten it
every single day. Yep.
No way.
Yep.
That's wild. Were you not worried about like damaging your hair long term?
I didn't know I had curly hair. I had frizzy hair and I always brushed it straight and then it would do weird flippy things. And I just thought I had a lot of cowlicks.
That's awesome. Weird.
Turns out I was just fighting curls for years. And I live in a very dry climate, so it never had moisture.
Yeah.
And it was a swimmer. So like that chlorine just
killed it.
Nothing.
That chlorine was killing it more than you straightening it.
Yeah,
for sure. That's crazy though. 30 years. See, and I think I've only straightened my hair maybe like 10 times in my whole life.
So you have a tight curl. I just have waves.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like it's obviously a lot more work to straighten yours.
Yeah. If you had my hair and you were like, I didn't know I had curly hair, I'd be like, girl, what you saying? No. Yeah. That's awesome though, man. So when you met Zach, you were like straight hair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we were married almost 10 years before I started wearing it naturally.
And then he's like, I got like 2 wives now.
Well, he got LASIK, so I don't think he knew what I looked like to begin with.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Now, here's the key question, though. Like if you had your hair straightened for 30 years, maybe this would go the opposite. But did you feel like you developed like a new personality when you started having curly hair?
No, because I was a chaos gremlin when it came to hair. I did pixie cuts. I did colors. I did perm. I did it all. Okay. I had bleached blonde hair for a while. I've had hair down to my bum. I've had a buzz cut. I've had like
a buzz cut,
frosted tips. I've done it all.
You got to send me some photos of this afterwards. Like we're going to put up, you know what we should do is we're just going to talk out loud with you guys and brainstorm now if you're listening, but we should do like on the pod, like these are your hosts, like in real time. And like, I'll get some old photos of me. You get photos of you. That would be epic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll show you some from my homeschool days, from my theater days.
That's amazing. Stay tuned, y'all. If you guys are on that note. So if you guys aren't following us on Instagram, you can literally find us under the Strong, Well-Fed, Outspoken pod. And you will get some really great photos of us in the next couple.
And, maybe some juicy details about our lives you haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
Although you and I aren't very secretive. We put a lot out there.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say where I'm like, we struggle with the like oversharing rather than the lack of sharing.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be weird to see us with full clothes on because usually it's short shorts or like check-in photos, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Actually, when I took some photos the other day, because I thought, I got to post an update. I haven't done that in a while. And I thought to myself, it is so funny that like I chose this career where I'm just like butt cheeks hanging out every couple of weeks, the world to see. Oh man, we love it. So anyways, you guys, welcome to this week's episode. We're doing a fun one. We're a little bit behind. We normally try and do like a Q&A episode every like once a month pretty much. But we just had so many great topics.
I mean, you guys know how the holidays go. Time flies.
Yeah, it really does. It's January 8th. I was talking to a friend yesterday on text. I'm like, Happy New Year. How's your New Year? She's like, well, it literally just started. And I'm like, that's true. But the fact that like we're 9 days in and the world hasn't, combusted. I'm like, we're winning. We're off to a good start. So First question for today's podcast kind of actually picks up off of last week's episode. If you guys didn't hear it, we talked all about coaching, how to determine hiring a good coach, what you should be looking for in a coach, what you should be paying for a coach. Just a lot of great info, our own experiences hiring coaches. So this one isn't actually from Anonymous, but they asked how to know when to change. They said nutrition coaches, but really we could apply this to pretty much anything, how to know when
coaches
to
in
change.
general, or when to change. Yeah.
Coaches. Yeah. And we both realized that was something we didn't talk about last week on the episode. And having both worked with coaches in the past, we've both gotten to that point where we've had to say, thank you, I'm peacing out.
And truly, like, we talk a lot about like longevity, and it's hard for any sort of breakup, and it does kind of feel like a breakup, right? Because you build a relationship with this person and they kind of know a lot of the inner workings in your life. So it can actually feel really challenging to have this conversation.
Definitely. Yeah. I think in some ways, if things aren't going well, it can almost be easier to be like, I'm
yes,
leaving.
That's true.
Yeah. Because you do feel connected to them. Absolutely. So I know even for me, the last coach I worked with him for pretty close to 3 years. And we talked about this in last week's episode, but I knew I probably should have ended it about like 6 months earlier, but I had a relationship with him. We had that connection. I'm also a very loyal person. So again, yes, it was hard. How did I know though? Like 6 months, 8 months previous, I probably should have ended it. Looking back, I'd say our check-ins started to become very repetitive because there was nothing new happening. And that, let me say this very clearly, that doesn't really have to do with like him all of a sudden being a bad coach. We have to remember that like nobody knows everything. And we all really excel, whether you're a coach or not, just in life, right? We all, I think, excel in our own areas of expertise. When you look at the fitness industry, I mean, there's so many coaches because we all excel in different things. And sometimes people can only take you so far. It doesn't mean that they stopped, like I said, being a good coach or anything like that. It just means that you maybe have outgrown what you needed from them. And that's okay. It can be hard, I think, to accept that, but that's okay to get to that realization, because I think once you do, you actually really appreciate that, like, holy, I started at this point and now I've actually outgrown you because of you, right? It's not in spite of you, it's because you've helped me get here. And it's kind of like the new levels, new devils. So yeah, long story short, for me, I realized like a lot of our check-ins started to become very repetitive, even changes we were making to like the plans. It just wasn't aligned with what I probably needed now moving forward. I needed a new challenge. I needed new guidance. I was at a new level. I needed somebody that would now match me at that level.
Which I think is important here, because you're saying like you need someone to match you at the level you're at. This is where it's important to really level with yourself. What is my current goal? And is this in line with that? Yeah. Because like one of my first coaches was straight weight loss. I was overweight and I didn't know how to work out. Yep. So it was very much that. And I actually came to Rusty as a client because I had lost weight. And then I had severed that relationship. I had said goodbye, thank you so much. And then I had done about a year on my own. And I realized my goal is different now. I need to get strong. I need to learn how to eat more and not be afraid of gaining the weight back. Yep. And so I had a very different goal. And we achieved that. And then we had some really great discussions about future goals and transitioning. But for me, it got to the point, and this is very important. We had been together a very long time. Yeah, this was not like a 3 weeks later, oh, I don't have that goal anymore. Or I don't really feel like doing a check-in. After 3 years, I had probably, I would say 2-3 months where the check-in process became very daunting to me. Yep. And not because I didn't look forward to the feedback, but because it just felt like an extra task when I was already spread really thin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so for me, it wasn't that I wasn't getting value out of it. It was that I wasn't putting value in.
Yes, yeah. That's a huge thing as well. If we know that, like, and this is something that I think that doesn't get talked about enough, because I think in society, there's this pressure of like, if you stop pursuing the thing you initially started pursuing, you failed. It's like, actually, you can realize, like for you, it was a different situation. But I think even for some people, they could work with a coach for 3 months or 6 months, having anticipated, like, maybe I want this thing over the course of the year, but realizing 3 months in, I don't actually want this. I don't care about it as much as I thought I did. It's okay to actually admit that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I know society will be like, no, like, grind it out. Don't quit. You're a failure. It's okay to change your mind about the things that you thought you once wanted. And if you don't, like, allow yourself to have that, and you just tell yourself, I have to continue to show up, there's a very good chance you're going to actually build a lot of internal resentment towards the process, towards yourself, and feel miserable. So I think that's a huge thing that you just mentioned. Also, and we talked about this in last week's episode, like, your priorities really changed from a health perspective.
Yes.
And kind of like what I said with my coach, I'm not a doctor. Like, I can't meet you at a certain point of what you need. So it was time for you to like work with somebody else, which
and I think
you are now.
For us, our relationship had changed, right? We went strictly from coach and client or coach and athlete to actually like building out this podcast together and stuff. So the relationship the dynamic was changing too, which was kind of interesting to navigate. So, but I think it's important, like when you're with a coach, has your dynamic changed, and is that dynamic still serving you? Right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And also, there's coaches out there who work like just themselves. There's coaches like for me, where I run a company. So like, you guys know, Nell is my head coach. We have 2 other assistant coaches under us. And so sometimes you might work with one coach and then your goal changes, but each coach offers a different thing. So you might stay working with the same team, but you might go like working specifically with weight loss to, like, one of our assistant coaches is powerlifting, right? You might decide you want to compete or something like that. It's okay for things to change and you need different people, but yes, recognizing, hopefully that kind of answers your question, recognizing like where you're at, what it is you need, if it's filling that need, if the coaching is filling that need, or likewise, as Nell said, like if you're putting into it, those are all big.
Yeah. And one other thing, and this comes up a lot for me because I'm transient. I move a lot, and I have lived in very isolated places, and I have lived in like booming metropolises.
Yeah.
And so it's important to me to have a coach that understands how things sometimes look, and you can't know what you don't know, right? So if you're working with a coach and you're living in a massive city and you have 24-hour access to a gym, you have, a bajillion grocery stores, whatever. But then let's say you move to an isolated place, 300 people. These exist, right? Yes, and suddenly you don't have a gym. Your groceries are being flown in. And if your coach doesn't have the capacity to understand that, it might be time to find someone who does, right? I think that's a reasonable need.
Definitely. Yes.
Right? Like the way I coach someone in Alaska looks very different than the way I coach someone in, say, I don't know, Florida.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Or like, we work with a lot of people that are deployed in the Navy, in the military. That, from a training perspective, from a nutritional perspective, looks very different than the stay-at-home mom or the guy who's prepping for a bodybuilding show and has access to, the biggest and baddest gym in the entire state. Like, so yes, definitely. That's a really good point there too.
Yeah. So if something in your life changes, maybe you get pregnant, you want to work with someone who understands training through pregnancy, that's a valid reason to break up with a coach.
Yeah.
And I say break up in a loving way, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then likewise, one thing we didn't cover is just, and hopefully this speaks for itself, how to know when to change, like if they are also not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. There should be clear expectations of them.
Yes. And again, if you're not sure what those are, go back, listen to last week's podcast episode because we cover that a lot for you guys. Mm-hmm. All right.
Next one. Well, that was a long one. Yeah, let's jump into the next one. Okay, so I watched a video on Mel Robinson saying she's highlighting it as I'm reading it, to never work out fasted. And then Jordan Sayat saying, I can. What do I do? And this comes from Jackie C.
Yeah, this is, what's funny is when we got this question initially, I hadn't seen the video. And then I actually just saw the video yesterday. Have you seen this video?
Did you? I haven't actually seen the video, so.
Yeah, so basically Mel Robbins, I don't know when she did it, but Mel Robbins with, it was with, I forget, but she's very, very big in the female industry. She's a little bit older, like maybe in her 60s. For sure you've seen the girl she was interviewing. Dang, I wish I remember her name. I should try and Google it quick. But
I was just going to do that while you're
oh
talking.
yeah,
I'll look
yeah,
it up.
please go for it. Yeah. But basically, I mean, the podcast, as always, is very long, so it's just a snippet. But the snippet is of training fasted, and they're basically saying like no woman ever should train in a fasted state because it's not conducive for us, and hormones and stress and things like that. But they really blanket statement: no woman ever should train fasted. So Jordan Syat, if you guys aren't familiar, awesome follow, tons of education, very natural. Like I just genuinely also love watching his life with his girls. But he basically stitched the video and then said like this is bogus. And he added in comments that people had made from the actual clip that got shared on Instagram of women being like, I've trained fasted for like 30 years and loved it. I train fasted because I don't feel good when I eat beforehand. And so his stitch was basically just saying like, do what works for you. Ignore this, do what works for you. So at point blank, again, I didn't watch the full podcast, but if we're just going off of what we're seeing, then I would say I do agree. Here's the thing. I agree with both of them, to be honest
I
with
do
you.
too. I was going to say, I don't think it's a complete black and white answer.
No. And like, I think Jordan was trying to get at that. He was trying to say, like, do what works for you. But sometimes we also need more context than that, because if I'm being real with you guys, most people also don't know what works for them, which is why most people are stuck in the same shitty health predicament or not making progress or feeling better. We tend to be very biased towards ourselves, right? We want to do things that we like to do. We want to do things that have us feeling comfortable. So when you say do what works for you, there's a very big difference between what's comfortable and what actually works for you. But
or what has sort of been working and you aren't open to it being a better option, right?
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Exactly. Because like realistically, comfort matters in terms of furniture and like headphones. It does not matter in the context of what actually has us like improving our life, so to speak, at least temporarily. So that being said, though, I would align more with Jordan, because also saying like no woman ever should train fasted, I'm not down with blanket statements.
No, and I agree that our bodies are pretty durable. I don't think that there's a lot, like if we're talking about, I used to work out fasted because I needed to get it in, get it done. And it was building the momentum to do a workout that really was the factor there for me. But it wasn't until I started eating pre-workout that I started putting on a lot of the muscle mass that I wanted and being able to perform more in my workout. And so what was it hurting me? No, because it was building a healthy habit for me. But was it getting me ultimately to my goal? No.
Yeah, absolutely. So exact same for me. I also trained fasted many, many years. I could easily train fasted now, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I do, when people talk about like that light feeling in their stomach, I do know what they're talking about. Like it feels good to move your body without it being full or weighed down. But I would also say then if you associate food with being like weighed down, you're probably just not eating the right things, which is
or consistently have been overeating every single meal. And it's just dense and heavy.
Yep. Your dinner time meal is breakfast meal are like not ideal. And so, yeah, you're just like feeling not good, which believe me, I totally get. But I'm literally the same as you, Nell. I trained fasted. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't make progress. I made progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I made huge progress compared to where I was at when I started.
Oh, yes, definitely. But when I went from training fasted to training fed, I made more progress. So exactly. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I made more progress. Maybe for you guys, you need to decide the pros and cons. Maybe you're okay with making 60% progress because you just genuinely like being in a fasted state. And for others, you're like, no, I want every single ounce that I can get. So I'm going to, have something in my stomach. The other thing to keep in mind is like, you don't need to be eating a massive meal. It's something. It's not, bacon and eggs or a sandwich or whatever. Like it could literally be a banana on some rice cakes. Like
half a piece of toast. It doesn't have to be this huge reworking of when you're eating breakfast.
Yeah. And then context really matters here. It's not about like, it's not about should women train fasted or not. It's can you train fasted or not? What's ideal for you? Because I would say here that there is a very big difference depending on where your health currently is, what your hormone health is like. For my ladies, since this is specifically targeted to women, are you a woman that's menstruating? Are you fully menopausal? Because all of these things make a very big difference. If you are, first of all, if you're in, like, I would say, like, your menstruation phase, I would be eating, because your blood sugar is less stable. Your cortisol, your stress is going to be higher. Your recovery is automatically slower, just on like a week to week basis, right? If you're somebody who is constantly in an elevated state of stress, if your adrenals are insufficient, or again, you're just having like adrenal issues, you're, like I said, in a constant state of stress, you should probably not be training fasted. Because we're,
True.
we're talking about training as being like, a good form of stress, but at the end of the day, your body really doesn't care. If you are chronically stressed all the time, then yes, you're doing something good for you, but that good can quickly become a negative thing that is just compounding on our pile of stress.
Yes. And when we're looking at working out fasted, we need context clues, right?
Yeah.
Are you going down to your home gym and moving your body for 30 minutes to start your day with a good attitude?
Yep.
Or do you have to drive an hour to get to your gym? You're lifting heavy for 90 minutes and you're driving an hour home. Well,
Yeah.
suddenly 30 minutes to like 3 hours, those are very different windows,
Absolutely.
right? And so there's context clues. I often don't eat before I go and teach yoga,
Yeah.
but my studio is not that far away. It's a pretty gentle class. I have my snack before I leave the studio because I like to eat. And
Yep.
it's not taking a huge toll on my system,
Yep.
right? You bet your ass I'm eating before I go do a heavy lifting session, because those impact me very differently.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couple other pieces of context here, because like you said, context is everything. If you're somebody who has a history of like binging and restricting, or like, let's be real with each other, baby, you use fasted training to subconsciously justify eating more later.
Yes.
This is building an unhealthy relationship with your food. And I would not recommend fasted training
or you're hiding your actual hunger feelings by drinking coffee first thing in the morning without anything, right? Lots of things like that make a big difference in your training levels and how you should be fueled.
Yeah, definitely. If you are somebody with PCOS, if you have hypothyroidism, or honestly, like you do struggle with insulin resistance, all of those things worsen when you skip meals. And then you skip meals and put your body in a state of stress by working out. Again, a good stress, but it is still a state of stress. It's probably, and we're talking about resistance training. I'm not talking about cardio here. Fasted cardio can be a different story. But yeah, PCOS, hypothyroidism, like it's not going to benefit you. If on the other end, like you don't have a period anymore, you are fully menopausal, I would say fasted training, in my opinion, is rarely the move, because when you're menopausal, right, we're low progesterone, estrogen is in flux. Usually blood sugar control is going to be mismatched, at least while you're going through menopause, which means that your body is going to be more insulin resistant. It's going to be less resilient to cortisol spikes that are going to happen in the body. And as a whole, like your nervous system is likely going to be in a state of in a more dysregulated state, right? This is why we're having hot flashes, anxiety peaks, there's sleep issues. So when you train fasted with all of that in context, again, you're going to spike your cortisol way more. Your blood sugar is going to drop more. And then we usually see inflammation rise in the body, and your metabolism winds up like stressing out instead of helping you lean out. So again, context is everything here. Can women train fasted? Yes.
Yes.
Can you train fasted? It depends, bitch.
Maybe.
Yeah, it really,
big emphasis on the maybe.
yeah, and that's really
and that's the answer.
Yes, that's what you need to hear. And if you're struggling to figure it out, then that is also where working with a coach can be really beneficial. And again,
and have you tried both?
Yeah.
Really? Have you tried it? How do you feel?
Yep, absolutely. So on that note, if you guys are looking to hop on a call with somebody, we're actually going to, let me just put this out there, for the month of February, you guys, we are going to be doing free, basically the equivalent of what we would do with our clients, a check-in. We'll be doing free check-ins with people to kind of help you see where you're at, see if we can provide you with any tips that will help you out. And you can set up, again, a opportunity to hop on a call with us for what we're calling a free check-in via the link below in the show notes. So check that out.
Awesome.
All right, next one. Let me see here, girl. Okay, from Big Buys and Bicycles. I love this name. I'm assuming bicycles like bicyclette, not like motorbike, but yeah.
I would say bicycles, like pedal.
This is awesome. Big Buys and Bicycles says, do I need to be in a calorie deficit every day? So I'm assuming that you are literally like in a loss phase.
Yeah, this would imply weight loss, I would assume.
Because otherwise I hope you're not in a deficit every day.
Yes, then absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, on first hand, for me, no. No matter,
because when we talk deficit, it's not just day by day. We're kind of looking at a bigger frame, right? I like to look at it not only day by day, but week to week.
Yeah.
Or cycle to cycle.
Definitely. Yep, absolutely. Because very rarely, and that is really how you should be looking at it, because although the days add up and they're powerful on their own, nobody's losing a pound a day, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You're losing it over the course of, and this is why we do weekly averages, monthly averages, because you are losing it over the course of time. I actually think that not being in a calorie deficit every day is not only beneficial for your body, but massively beneficial just from like mental health and quality of life perspective. Yeah. Knowing that you have like some days that you're like, oh, I'm eating a little bit more today. I know for me personally as well, it always made a big difference.
And I think it makes a difference too in how it fits in your life, right? Because I've been in, I would say, pretty extreme deficits at points in my life. And it made social gatherings really hard. It made, dating hard. It made things like that difficult. And so by not having a deficit every freaking day, it allowed me to enjoy moments with people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the quality of life is huge. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, you guys, if you are listening to this and you are a bodybuilding competitor, I mean, you might still not be in a calorie deficit every day. Again, from a body perspective, it's actually massively beneficial for your body too, because remember, your metabolism is this constantly fluctuating, adapting, ever-changing thing, and doing the exact same thing every day could, after a while, limit you. But what I was going to say is, from a quality of life perspective, like Nell said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to leave a little bit more room for those fun events. When you're a bodybuilding competitor, you are obviously more strict for 12, 16, 20 weeks, but then...
Well, it's just like you said, competitor, right? These people are athletes. That is a sport that they are doing at a high elite level. And I think that's where people go wrong, because they go, I want to look like that. I want to do a show. But it's just average people and not realizing that it is a competitive sport.
Definitely. Yep, definitely. So yeah, do you need to be in a calorie deficit every day, single day? No. What matters is by the end of the week, you are, depending on what your rate of loss is set to, but you are basically hitting that. Whether you have a couple days where you're in a 300 calorie deficit, and then you have 2 days where you're in like a 700 calorie deficit, maybe you're in a 500 calorie deficit across the board, and then you do 1 day where, you're not, you actually just go back to maintenance for 1 day, whatever it is that's going to, at the end of the day, make sure that you are hitting the deficit you need over a weekly measure, if that makes sense, so that you are still successfully losing weight.
But just like Rusty said, it has to still be a deficit at the end of that, at the day of the cycle, whatever. And this is where people go wrong. They say, I'm in a calorie deficit, but these tiny little bits add up over time, and they're actually removing any sort of deficit they had, and they don't even realize it. And so they feel like they're in a deficit and they're in this cycle of trying to lose weight, but they've actually not been successful in that deficit.
Yes.
And so when you're saying like, do I need to be in a deficit every day? No, absolutely not. But you still have to overall create a deficit.
Definitely.
And this is where it goes wrong. I was so good. I followed the plan Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday come around. They've actually completely undone all of that work, because that deficit has been eaten above and beyond, right? And so that's where, no, you don't have to be, but you do have to have a deficit overall.
Absolutely.
Okay, super quick pause here, because if you're listening to this episode and thinking, I really don't want another January where I go all in and fall off by February, you are exactly who we built our New Year's one-on-one coaching for. Our program is called 2026 Results That Stick. And the goal, if it doesn't sound obvious, is super simple. We want you to start 2026 the way you actually want to end 2026. It's not about losing 10 pounds in January. It's about making sure you're still here with sustainable results come April, come July, come September, come next December. Still moving, still consistent, still seeing progress. We are going to take you through a 4-month, 4-tiered coaching approach. Month 1 is going to be all about setting the foundation. Month 2 is our launch pad. Month 3 is where we literally start stacking results. And month 4 is where we teach you how to sustain every single result you've gotten. Think about it like this, 80% of people fall off by mid-February. And let's be honest, you've probably been part of that statistic. I know I have. Committing to the next 4 months means you're still going to be showing up when most people have already quit. You're going to get programming tailored specifically to you, one-on-one support from me and the other Team Frizzle coaches, as well as community support from other men and women who are working toward the same kind of long-term change as you. If you're ready to stop starting over and actually build results that last, click the link in the show notes and apply for our one-on-one 2026 Results That Stick coaching, and let's build something you're proud of, not just in January or February, but all freaking year long. All right, back to the episode.
Okay, so next one. You get all the good usernames. This is coming from Megan Withers. I hope I'm saying that right. What real person character from TV are you most like? I know you have a really solid answer for this, and I don't know if I do.
Yeah. Because this one kind of came through on the Q&A. I did answer this on Instagram because I was like so excited about this one. So that helps. So I'll just say it now. You think.
Oh, God,
we're putting you on the spot. But honestly, after I posted that, a few people messaged me with other examples, and I'm like, oh, I could see that too. Anyways, my initial answer, do I even remember? It was a cross. Oh, yes, I do. My initial answer was a cross between Kimmy Gibbler from Full House.
Full House. If you guys aren't watching Full House, what have you been doing with your life?
I mean, I never found she was annoying, but I know she was supposed to be annoying. So, like, hopefully you guys don't think about me in that way.
But also, like, the lovable best friend throughout seasons, right? Like,
dependable.
Always there for her people.
Yeah. Quirky. She was fun. She got the curly hair, the wild outfits. Obviously, let's go. And then I would say, and this is one I've said for a long time, Phoebe from Friends. A girlfriend and I, we are massive Friends fan. We have been our entire friendship, and she's very like Phoebe as well. And so literally like in our phones for each other, I have her under Regina Phalange. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. And likewise, right? Because that's just how it goes. But yeah, just Phoebe's like quirky personality, her clothes, she just lives by the beat of her own drum. I always really admired that. Mm-hmm. People messaging me afterwards, somebody was like Jessie from Saved by the Bell. I was like, I could.
I've never seen Saved by the Bell. I might have to watch a few episodes now.
No. How have you never seen Saved by the Bell?
I don't know. I just realized I've never seen it.
This like literally was like my favorite. I think. No, Full House too. But I loved Saved by the Bell. It was so good. Like, who didn't want to be at that high school?
I suppose true. Because maybe I didn't have a high school experience to compare it to.
Between the hair and now this revelation, I don't even know who you are anymore.
I know. Pod people. That's what my mom says when we do something out of character. Pod people.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I've thought about it. I think I'm going to have to post this on my Instagram and get some feedback.
Yeah.
But I think if you think about like rom-com, feel-good TV, and you take the love interest, either like the over-the-top zany and the like down-to-earth rigid structure, I'm that, right? So I'm like Jessica Day and Nick Miller. I'm Jake Peralta and Amy Santiago, if you put them together.
Who? I don't even know. I got to look this up.
Have you watched New Girl?
No, I never watched New Girl.
Now who doesn't know how to watch shows?
Okay, hold on.
So Jessica Day is like the elementary school teacher, the bright, colorful clothes, the like doing weird sounds and stuff. Okay. And Nick Miller is like the gruff, like hates everybody, grumpy old guy, but they're like, they fall in love, right? And I think if you put those two together, that would be me. And same with like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? Jake Peralta is like the goofball, really smart, but goofy, doesn't follow rules well. And then he falls in love with Amy Santiago, who is the like by the book people pleaser, do not deviate from the rules or the schedule. If you put those together, that's me.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I just pulled it up. I can totally see it.
Right.
But yeah, I know who that actress is. I've seen her in other things.
Yes.
And the guy too, Nick Miller that you said. Yes, I've seen him in
Yes.
things too. But as soon as I pulled him up, the like face that came up on Google, I'm like, yeah, I can see this with the personality.
Yeah, because I'm colorful and fun and zany, but I'm also like, do not break the rules, do not be late, do not like validate me as a human.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
So I think that's probably the best I can come up with.
That's awesome. No, I could see that. I should watch this show because I'm always looking for like a good, and I know it was so popular at the time.
Yeah, it's a fun feel good, you know.
Yeah. I love it.
I asked my husband to describe what you would say to someone, like describe your wife to someone. He basically just gave them the definition of ADHD.
That's awesome.
I was like, bro.
You're like, this is what you think of me? Thanks, babe. Thanks.
But also accurate.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, it can be accurate, but don't say it out loud. Don't say it out loud. Or only say it.
He's like, she's so funny and so mean and also witty. I'm like, that is the definition of witty.
Yeah. That's awesome. Like, thanks for the affirmation, my love.
Yeah, the vote of confidence.
Honestly. If you guys are listening to that and you're like, what kind of what personality am I? Let us know in the comments. Share below.
I want to know.
Yeah.
Or what you think we are. If you're like, oh, that's them. That's their character. Tell us.
Yeah. If we nailed it or you disagree or there's someone else that comes to mind, yeah, definitely tell us. Remember, real person characters, not cartoons here.
Yeah, because we all know who you're getting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think that's why the person asked it like that too. But
right.
All right, next one from I think Abby.
I'm glad you got this because I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Abby Moyet, I'm going to guess.
Moyet or Moyet, yeah.
Hopefully we're saying that right. My apologies if not. Biggest piece of advice for somebody who struggles with over-exercising?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. And like, as always, context is everything. I initially think about this in a couple of ways. So on one hand, I'm like, well, what is there a goal you're trying to achieve?
Why? Yeah. Why are you over exercising, or why are you exercising in the first place?
Yeah. I know a lot of women that we've worked with struggle with over exercising. They're always trying to lose weight. They're always trying to get leaner. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give you would be to work with a coach, because what I'm going to say is not usually going to be easy to do on your own. A lot of the time we think about having accountability from a coach in terms of somebody to remind us like to work harder, do more, stick to your calorie deficit, grind it out. But there's something to be said for having the accountability of a coach that is coming at it from the perspective of, I told you to do less. Why are you not doing less? You know, I told you to take a rest day, take a rest day. It's massively beneficial to have that support, that it goes against everything, especially as women, that we've been told about doing more. And, you know.
I would say even you and I are just now at a point in our own lives where it's like, yes, rest is best sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and I get it. There's this desire to be productive. I got to be, and we've
been trained to be that way. Society expects us to be that way, right?
For sure. But we also view productivity as doing. I got to do, yes. I got to do. Let me tell you something. Doing nothing is productive when you need to do nothing. Yes. Whether it's because your body needs a break or baby, you mentally need a break. There is nothing wrong with doing nothing. And in fact, that can be very productive. So having a coach to help you, I think, will be really beneficial, because it is very hard to break the over-exercising mentality on your own. Because again, even if we're exhausted, there's comfort in that, because we're like, oh, well, at least I did something today, but it's not helping you. No.
So, and I will say a coach can almost help you navigate a workaround until you are mentally and emotionally prepared to hear what you need to hear.
Yes, definitely. Now, I also think, on the other hand, right, if you're not trying to lose weight or lose fat, but you're just like, because this I've heard before too, I just love working out and moving my body and going to the gym. I love it. It's an activity for me each day. We need to replace that with something else. It's not that I'm going to tell you then, oh, you need to do nothing. I think that that's awesome, but we need to find something else that you can genuinely enjoy to do, something that you can go and do, something that is going to fill that void that you otherwise are feeling from not working out or moving your body.
Yes, to get into like therapist mode a little bit,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
This is, what are you avoiding? Because that's usually a lot of what it comes down to.
Yep.
Or what are you trying to escape from?
Yep.
And exercise is great. What is she's saying Legally Blonde, what does Elwood say? Exercise makes endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't kill people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that, right? Working out does make you feel better a lot of the time. But if you're constantly seeking out that feel good because of other things in your life that aren't being addressed, it's not a healthy thing, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So where it's coming from is the first thing we need to dive into. And if you guys are familiar with our content, you know we believe in getting to the root of what's going on health-wise, digestion-wise, but also the root of mentally what's going on, because our mental actions drive a lot of our behaviors, right? The body follows where the mind goes.
So, I do a lot of check-ins where it's like, well, I'm mad I didn't lose weight. Okay, but 3 weeks ago we were crying in the shower. I'm talking about me. Yeah. Right? And so it's perspective, right? It's not always like what's right in front of us that is actually what we need to be focusing on, or we forget what we've already achieved.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, hopefully that helps.
I think the biggest thing is, can you identify why you're over exercising and address that first? And then also, what else is bringing you joy? Because if exercise really does bring you joy, what else is bringing you joy? And are you making time and space for that?
Exactly.
And learn how to enjoy rest.
Yeah.
I had to make a rule for myself where I wasn't allowed to scroll my phone while I watched TV, because I just wasn't connected and present with anything. And I thought I was resting, but I actually wasn't.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So then I started reading, and wow, all of a sudden an hour sitting on my couch feels a lot different. Mentally, emotionally, physically, and rest actually became purposeful because, like we said, it is part of doing.
Yes.
And I actively found something that helped me do that. And that made a big difference too.
Definitely. It's amazing what can happen when we do the opposite of what we've always told ourselves, this is what I need to do. And again, you guys, like if you continue to do the same thing, expecting different results, you will drive yourself crazy. If you want to feel a different way, if you want to have a different lifestyle, you need to be willing to be uncomfortable and try new things. And sometimes that is doing less. Or swapping out the activity.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of beautiful activities out there that aren't necessarily working out that still give you that same sort of sensation.
Yes, absolutely. So hopefully that helps. One more. We got one more for you guys.
Okay. So this one's a little bit heavy. We're going to get into it. And we're going to bring some different perspectives here because we've kind of got both sides of the coin. So my girlfriend of the past couple of years has put on 40 plus pounds while we dated. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just what happened. I've tried to invite her to the gym with me, help get her into a local women's fitness group, encourage her to go with me, etc. Any advice on how to help her before it becomes a sore point in the relationship? And I think we need to say, like, a lot of people don't have supportive partners. And I think what we're trying to get at here is that you're trying to be a supportive partner.
Yes.
And I think that's important, right? Yeah. But we don't like to see our own flaws, right? And we don't want it to come across like we're being the bad guy. So for me, I was this person in my relationship. When I got married, I was honestly in a similar shape I am in now. And then at my heaviest, I was about 210 pounds, which is about 50 pounds heavier than when I got married. And it didn't impact my relationship in that, like, my partner didn't love me anymore or that we weren't doing things together. It impacted our relationship in that I didn't love myself in the same way. And I didn't always feel supported in what I was trying to achieve because I could see him being successful in areas that I wasn't. And that was kind of hard. And I know he did his damnedest to be supportive of it. But like you said, like, I didn't want to hear that I needed to work out or that I needed to change who I was, because that's what it felt like. I needed to change who I was, and that he didn't love that version of me, which was simply not true. And I don't think that this is true for you either.
Yeah.
So how to be supportive to a partner is you have to understand nobody's going to change until they're ready to change.
Absolutely.
Right. If anyone in your life has struggled with addiction or have gone through these drastic life changes, until that person is ready to change,
It's not
you
happening.
could do everything in your power to get them there, and they're going to start to resent you because they don't want to change yet.
Yep.
So we don't get to judge other people on how they look or, the changes their body are through, that you have to understand that first. And that is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Because if you genuinely love this person, you want to see them thrive. But until they're ready to change, you're SOL.
Yes, literally though, literally.
Right. So, and maybe you can weigh in on this a little bit too, because like you said, we kind of lived opposite sides of this.
Yeah. So, in our relationship, Steph and I would be opposite to Nell and Zach. So I, of course, go to the gym. I'm a coach. Stefan is not interested. And that's okay. And it's not that he's not interested. He shows interest in me, but he's not really interested for himself.
Yes, there's not this like going and changing. Loving and supporting you, those are different, right? Yeah, asking how your day or how your workout went is very different than forcing yourself to go to the gym.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's the thing I'll say. So we've been together like 13 years now, and I have gone through this phase where I have tried to force him. I've tried to push him. I've tried to, do everything from very lovingly encourage or give ideas to like literally be like, you need to do this. And ultimately, it was always coming from, and we had many conversations like, I love you. I don't want you to not be able to do the things that we're doing. I don't want you.
You're my person. I need you to be here with me through it all.
Yes. Like I remember like literally at one point, because if you guys didn't know, like Steph got a blood clot at one point when we were in England, and we didn't know it was a blood clot. At first he thought like all the walking we were doing and everything. And Steph and I hike all the time. Like, he keeps up no problem. But we just thought like, maybe he stepped on something wrong. Like his knee was really bothering him. Anyways, this went on for like 2 weeks. We were traveling in Europe for like 6 weeks. And literally a week before we were supposed to fly home, like it was so bad for him. And he was like, even though we had insurance, he was like, I'll just wait till we get home. And we're texting. We were with my sister who lives out there, and we were texting her massage therapist, and we took a picture, and she's like, I don't think that's a pulled muscle. And I literally am sitting there looking at him, and I thought, I know exactly what this is. Like, it's a blood clot. And it just hit me. And so he went to the hospital that night, and they ran tests, and they said if you had got it basically started when we did the flight over. So it had been growing for 5 weeks. It literally had taken up his entire leg. They said if you got on the flight home, you would have died. And for me, I remember in that moment, like literally crying to him and saying like, I don't want you to die. Like I could get like, I will get emotional now.
You feel that emotion now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like really, it's scary. So anyways, I know what it's like to like look at your person and be like, I just want you to be as healthy as possible. But here's the reality is that like, as Nell said, they will never do it until they want it for themselves. And ultimately, like they know. You have to realize this. They know. Your girlfriend knows she's gained 40 pounds.
Yes, you're not pointing out anything she's not already questioning or asking about herself.
Yeah. Your girlfriend knows that she's gained 40 pounds. You knew, as you just said no.
Absolutely, I knew.
Yep. Steph knows that he knew that he was overweight.
Yeah, I didn't wake up one morning and look in the mirror and go, how did I get here?
Yes.
I put myself in that situation. I was fully aware of that throughout that entire time.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Steph keeps up with you. You guys hike and you do all these things. Just because we're in a different body doesn't mean we don't love you less. It doesn't mean that we don't care about ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we don't want to do things with you. Yeah. I think that's important to remember too. Absolutely. Because we almost feel left out.
Yes.
Right? Or, if you're focusing on what you're eating and your partner's not, it can feel like you're not connected on the same level anymore.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. That's why it's so emotionally moving to want your partner to be there with you, right?
Yeah.
Because you love them and you care about them and you want to be connected to them. And I think with a situation like this, it feels like there's disconnect.
Yeah.
And it's not about wanting them to lose weight. It's about having a disconnect that wasn't there before.
Yes, exactly. You absolutely nailed it. I remember saying this to Steph many times. It's not that I actually care about your weight. It's that I care about us doing this together. I care about us. And I think for the gentleman that asked this question, there is a bonding experience that comes from, you don't even have to do the same things in terms of fitness, but there is a bonding experience that comes from sharing the same struggle with your fitness, sharing the same successes. It's a part of sharing in life. But yes, you will never be able to do it until they want it for themselves. I was going to say, outside of the fact that they already know, instead of, and this was a big learning curve for me, but instead of trying to convince or trying to honestly just help lovingly by like, hey, here's a group I found, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, literally say nothing. You need to let them, like, I know that's like Mel Robbins' thing, but it is very powerful with this. You need to let them, and you need to inspire them by just focusing on you and sharing your wins and how good you feel and letting them see it. That's it. That's it. Because they will see it over time. They will notice how good you feel. They will notice how excited you get when you hit PRs. And when you back off from them, it will actually give them the opportunity to sit with themselves and, is this something I want for myself? You are leading by example, but not pushing them to do it. You're not even bringing it up with them. Their life is their life. You only bring up fitness as it applies to you and your wins and how you're enjoying it, and let that be the influence that potentially helps them get to where they want to be. If you give them the space to not bring it up at all. And here's the other thing that I learned, right? Like, because your girlfriend probably has moments where she is frustrated with her weight. Maybe she doesn't feel the greatest. Maybe certain clothes don't fit. Maybe she's tired or fatigued more easily. Like with Steph, I know he would come home and he would say things because he works construction, right? He would be like, man, like my core is so weak, or like, I just can't keep up like I did. He would even say like 30 pounds ago. I would then take those opportunities to say, not anything about working out, but just how does that make you feel when you think about that? I would encourage the conversation and almost help draw it out of them by asking them questions. So it's like they can formulate and get to that conclusion themselves. But in no way, shape, or form would I ever say, maybe you should start working out, or you know what would help with that? Let's start a diet again. I would just be like, how does that make you feel? Are you frustrated?
Yes, because
I feel that'd be frustrating.
With this, I get the impression you're trying to leave the door open for her.
Yeah.
And by making this a you focus, by shifting the focus to you and how you feel and your journey, you're still leaving that door open for your partner. They know that you have that information now, if and when they need it. And then when, like Rusty said, they bring up those pain points, those moments that they're struggling with, to allow them to explore that without forcing information down their throat.
Yeah.
That's a great way to leave the door open, instead of, I'm going to the gym, you should come, right? The concept is the same. The door is open. You are supporting them in walking through that, but you're allowing it to happen on their terms, in their time and place.
Yep. And it will be hard for you, because if it gets to the point where, let's say, she keeps gaining weight, or she all of a sudden isn't able to keep up, I also want to say, like, it does get to a point where you do have to make a decision for you, right? I'm not going to tell you should leave somebody because of their weight. That's not what we're saying here at all. But, people do change, and you need to recognize that it's not your job to change somebody else. It's your job to live a life that's true to you and what you need. In the same way, it's her job to live a life that's true to her and what she needs.
Yeah, because the reality is, if you find your person, you find your person.
Yep.
And some people need that similarity in their life, right? Yep. I know really successful couples that have very together fitness journeys, and I know very successful couples that walk completely separate paths. At the end of the day, they've chosen you as your person, and you have chosen them, and are continuing to choose that, whether that is the same and that is important to you, or that's different and you're okay with it.
Yep, exactly. So couple different perspectives there for you, but I think we're both, Nell and I, at the end of the day, we're both on the same page where, like, I guess we quoted Mel Robbins a lot in this podcast, but like, you just have to let them.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, right now, my husband and I are opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. I started as the heavy one. He's been dealing with a lot of difficult stuff at work, and he's the one putting the weight on. And I know it impacts him. He's brought it up a few times. And one of the things I've actually said to him is, yes, I do this for a living. Yes. I teach people how to do this. But if this is something that you genuinely want assistance with, I'm going to encourage you to find someone else to help you, because I want to keep being your loving partner and not being the person that has to tell you the hard stuff sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, it does. It's like, when they say, like, if you want to learn to drive, don't get your spouse to teach you. Like,
it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It really depends on the relationship, but it can be a point of tension for people for sure. And so, honestly, do yourself a favor as well and just relieve yourself of that tension by not feeling like it's your burden to carry.
And one thing I will say that I have found helpful, I'm sure this is the same for you, is celebrate what you love about them.
Yes.
Right?
So thank you for saying that.
Because
So
I
true.
have been in a big body. I didn't need to know that my love handles were bigger, that kind of stuff. Yep. But having a partner who went, I love you no matter what, babe. Yep. I love this about you, and I love this about you, and I love this about you, was a lot more helpful than saying, hey, did you know this is different?
Yeah.
And so
or like, here's this fitness club I found.
Yeah. Focus on that. What do you love about your partner?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. This was something I did. I still do with stuff because it's.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to do with everybody in your life. What do you love about your people?
Yes. Put it out there. Let them know. Everybody loves feeling loved. So, and that's one of our most deep rooted desires, right?
Even about ourselves. What do you love about yourself? I talk about that all the time. Right?
Yeah, definitely. So anyways, brother, I hope that helps you out a little bit. Great questions this week, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And in closing, love your people. Love yourself.
Period. Love everyone, y'all. It literally is as easy as that at the end of the day. Just love people and your life will change. Literally. Yeah. Love the people that wrong you. Love the people that right you. Just love everybody.
Amen.
Okay, guys. So if you want to touch base with us, in the meantime, you guys can find us on social media. Literally every platform for both of us. I'm there under coach.frizzle.
And I'm there at coach.alana.nell. And of course, you can find the podcast at strong.wellfed.outspoken.
Beauty. And all of that will be in the show notes below, as well as that link to set up a time to chat with us. Let us help you guys out and make sure that 2026, is absolutely smashing for you guys.
Yeah, and now that we're in 2026 and you don't have the reminder of the 5, you can still absolutely give us 5 stars on the podcast. We would love that. And don't forget that you are going to let us know who your characters are down in the comments and on our socials.
Comment that below. And if this was helpful for you guys, please feel free or consider sharing it to your socials or with a friend. That helps us out huge. Until next week, you guys, we will talk to you guys soon. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.